What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Playbook Sports Podcast. Here with you guys after the NFL Combine is done. The NFL free agency period kicks off in just a few days. And obviously, the mock drafts are going to look super different after free agency hits. It always does. Teams fill needs with vets, and then they don't have to draft them. So this is kind of the last mock draft that we're going to do where it is just based on these rosters that these teams have. You already know who I got with me. We're the draft freaks. We got Addison. We got Bobby. Bears getting Joe Thuney is Addison's name for the day. I love it. Great trade for the Bears.
Love it.
Elite trade for the Bears. And Bobby, this mock draft, you're picking number one, Bucko. So I've fired up the mock draft simulator here, all 32 teams for the first two rounds. And you are on the clock with the Tennessee Titans. What are you doing?
Yeah, well, first of all, I don't know if the Titans will be the ones selecting at this pick. I know I said in an earlier mock, I really do believe the Giants should look to trade up if they're serious about the future. I think pairing Cam Ward with the team they already have would be great. But with the first pick, I know we're not doing any trades or anything. I think this is a pick that could also happen. It's really dependent on how much they like this prospect, but give me Cam Ward 1-1. I do think he's the best quarterback in the draft, and teams are looking to win, and I don't know if Will Levis can do that. Also wasn't selected by the current, staff there. So give me Cam Ward 1-1 out of the University of Miami.
Yeah, the more I've watched Cam Ward, I think, first of all, the gap between him and Shedeur Sanders is big. I think it's genuinely a pretty large gap between those two guys. Cam Ward is the prototypical right now. He's the prototype. He's the big athlete. He's got the escapability. He's got the big arm. Shedeur Sanders is kind of the older generation of quarterbacks where it's the accuracy, the touch, the anticipation, but less of the athlete. And I don't know. I think Cam Ward is clear cut number one in this class, in my opinion.
Yeah, Bob, having Cam Ward at one, I do like that. And it's interesting because the Titans, as much as the talk of the Giants trading up is real and it's there, man, if the Titans fall in love, they've got the keys, man, to Cam Ward's car. And, they could drive that away come draft day. But going on to number two here, Cleveland Browns. This is probably worst case scenario, either the Titans or the Giants trading up and taking Cam Ward. That's the only quarterback I'd feel comfortable throwing into this rough situation Cleveland has going on right now. With Myles Garrett requesting a trade, I think it's just almost an obvious pick here. You just try to replace him with an edge as well. Give me Abdul Carter from Penn State. A lot of people's number one on their big board, rightfully so. We'll see what's up with the injury, but I'm sure he's going to be fine long term, and it's not going to scare teams away from drafting him at the top of this draft. Give me Abdul Carter to the Browns.
Yes, absolutely. I do think the Browns are going to trade Myles Garrett. I mean, if Garrett comes out and says, I want to be traded, he's been the cornerstone for them. He's probably their most famous player, arguably, of all time. They're going to do right by him, I would like to think, and just replace him with someone who's got that crazy high upside, like you said. And is he going to be Myles Garrett year one? No, he's not going to be Myles Garrett year one, but he's got upside like that, and that's what you absolutely want to have. So I think Abdul Carter goes pick one or two. I think he's a top three pick no matter what, because I do think that we probably get two quarterbacks with the first two of the first three picks. I'd be shocked if we don't. The Giants are in desperate need of a quarterback, but does that mean that they take one here? Because Brian Daboll's job is on the line. Joe Shane's job is on the line. And you can't really confidently say, yeah, Shedeur Sanders got us. He's got us this year. Because if you struggle this year, you're out. See ya. Thanks for playing. So for the Giants, it's tough, man. I think a trade up to one is without a question their best possible move. And I can't take Shedeur Sanders here. I just don't think he's a top three pick. I don't think he has the ability to be a top three pick. I don't like that teams are already coming out after their meetings and saying, oh, he came off as arrogant and brash. Why are we talking about this kid's character? Let the other teams meet with him. That's a dick move in my opinion, but I digress. I'm going to do something I think the Giants would be smart to do. I'm going to take Travis Hunter, and he's going to become corner one on my team. And I'm going to have some packages for him on the offensive side of the ball as well. Him and Malik Neighbors together would be great. But I think being an insane corner is more valuable than being an insane wide receiver, especially when you've got Malik Neighbors on the other side. You don't have a stud DB on your other side of the ball. So I'm going to go with Travis Hunter at pick 3 here and move it on to New England at pick 4. Bobby.
Yeah, I love the pick. And this could be something too. I know with going back to the Giants real quick, I saw a lot of news about Aaron Rodgers possibly going there. In this situation, if they don't feel comfortable with Shador, get Aaron Rodgers. I know he's 1 year stopgap, but hey, come back in the later rounds, maybe draft a guy that you can hope to develop and just kind of see how that goes, especially under some veteran leadership. But Patriots on the clock here at 4. I do think one thing that's going to kind of influence this, and we'll see obviously with free agency just being right around the corner here in 4 days, when the official tampering hearing starts. I think here, though, the Patriots have to go with Will Campbell. I think he's the best tackle available here. Also, I know Membo could be up here as well, but at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of receivers in the free agency market. Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf can be traded. There's a lot of things and a lot of different routes that they can go with a lot of players being available. So give me a stud tackle to help protect your future quarterback. So
Yeah, I like Will Campbell to the Patriots. And even if it doesn't end up being left tackle of the future, it could be right. And it could just be a
right.
guard, regardless, it's somebody that's protecting Drake May. And he is the future. And you definitely have to protect a guy like that. Number 5, Jacksonville Jaguars. Some maybe head scratching moves, unless you're really deep looking at the Jags, getting rid of Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram on the offensive side of the ball. Evan Ingram's really the big head scratcher for me, considering the connection that he had with Trevor Lawrence. But it's what they've done. It's what Liam Cohen's done, and already making his mark down in Jacksonville. And this is where it gets interesting. They open up pretty much, is Teteroa McMillan a possibility? I mean, they drafted BTJ last year, and Trevor Lawrence does excel when his receivers are big body guys and can win jump balls, and that is Teteroa McMillan. But man, their defense is just so bad that this is a tough one for me.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go Teteroa McMillan. I'm gonna pair up BTJ with another elite receiver for Trevor Lawrence. You've paid Lawrence. If your offense can score points, that's really what matters. At the end of the day, the defense obviously is important as well, but you need to be able to score points in this league. I'm gonna go Teteroa McMillan. I just wasn't sold on either Barron or Johnson. I guess maybe drafting this high with a guy like McMillan's potential on the offensive side of the ball, just sitting there.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. Teteroa McMillan's going to be awesome. And like you said, like that's the Lawrence type of receiver. He's thrived with the bigger bodies. And they need somebody now. You just got rid of Christian Kirk. You just got rid of Evan Ingram. They don't have any depth at the wide receiver position. Gabe Davis is unreliable as it gets. He's terrible. And they're paying him $12 million a year. I'm sorry, I don't want him. There's clearly a type there, though. Gabe Davis, like 6'3". Brian Thomas Jr., 6'3". McMillan, 6'5". They like the tall guys. And Teteroa McMillan's got all the talent in the world. He's going to be a stud in this league, and I like the fit in Jacksonville. I would have liked him to New England, too. I think anywhere in this 4 to 6 range, I think is a great spot for him. So I'm a big fan of Teteroa McMillan. People having him falling to the late teens, 20s, I just don't see that happening. He's just too damn talented, man.
Don't buy that.
He was one of the 2 players I was considering for this pick for the Las Vegas Raiders. It's not going to be Shedeur Sanders. I think they're going to sign a quarterback in free agency. I think they're also on the train of let's get a vet bridge guy. They're a good spot, I think, for Sam Darnold. And they're going to have to give him a couple of years. Now, do I think that works? No, I do not, because Sam Darnold is most likely a product of Minnesota's good team. But I do not believe in Shedeur Sanders' ability to elevate this roster. But I am going to go with someone that I think Pete Carroll's going to love. And what did Pete Carroll do best in Seattle? It was defense. It was zone style of defense. I'm going with Will Johnson. I like the Will Johnson fit to Las Vegas, man. I think Will Johnson is being brutally slept on. A lot of talk about him being a press man corner. I think he plays better in the zone. I think he plays way better in zone. He can be your Richard Sherman type of player. He's got really good size. He's got shorter arms than I think a lot of us expected. Only 30 and 5/8 inch arms, which is in the bottom 10 percentile for DBs. However, it doesn't show up on the tape. I'm not concerned about it. And his ability to play zone and drive on the ball is elite. And you have holes all over this team. And you could argue Ashton Genty. You could argue obviously a quarterback, a wide receiver, all of these things. I just think Will Johnson in Pete Carroll's system fits like a glove.
Yeah, it's tough when you look at the Raiders' needs, and it's almost every single big position that's needed on a football team to compete.
Yeah, it's not pretty in Las Vegas. It's not pretty.
Yeah, and if I'm the Jets here, I think I have a real conundrum here. I love Mason Graham coming out. But at the end of the day, I think you got to go out and you got to get a primetime position. And I think the Jets have been bad at QB for a long time. I don't know if this guy stops it, but at the end of the day, you got to throw darts at that dartboard and see what sticks. And I think they have the weapons on the outside along with in the backfield to be able to maximize this guy's potential. So I'm going to be taking Shadur Sanders here at 7 to the Jets. And I think, he talks a lot about changing franchises and being able to turn things around. No better place to do that than Jets, Jets. So
Sorry, just puked a little bit.
hmm.
Actually, I haven't seen that fit before. Shador to the Jets. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. Good offensive line. They need a right tackle, but otherwise they've got 4 starting offensive linemen. It's their best offensive line in years. A really good number 1 wide receiver in Garrett Wilson, a really good running back. I don't hate that fit at all. I don't hate it at all.
Yeah, and honestly, if you're the Jets and you draft Shador and it's maybe a situation where you do trot out Tyrod, they've already said they're okay with him as the quarterback. Maybe you do give him his 3 games and then the rookie takes over another spot. But I would definitely not hate Sanders to the Jets.
No.
Number 8 here is the Carolina Panthers. And I think they're grinning ear to ear. D lineman, maybe the best in the draft, has fallen to them. I'm going to take Mason Graham from Michigan and lock it up. I mean, the question, I guess, is who's the best edge? And there's going to be a different answer from almost everybody you ask. Who's the best interior defensive lineman? The answer is Mason Graham. And it's that simple. I think he's going to be as much of an impact player as any of the rookie edges. So give me Mason Graham to make an impact on that D-line down in Carolina.
I like that pick a lot. I think he'll be him, man. Imagine him next to Derek Brown.
Come on.
You're building something there, man. Absolutely building something there. I love that. Best player available in that spot. Top 3 player in the class. Falls to you at 8. Thank you very much. New Orleans Saints on the clock here. Wide receiver, tight end, D-line listed as needs on here, but I got another one in mind, especially when you consider who their new head coach is. Kellen Moore. He spent, the time he was in Dallas, what was the best part of their team? Offensive line. He just came from Philadelphia, where it was the best offensive line in football by a mile. He knows what it takes to win, and it's protecting the quarterback and having a decent running game. Alvin Kamara should still be there. I'm going to take my boy. I'm going to go Armand Membu here, and I'm going to double up. I'm going to go tackle here for them, and I just broke Addison's heart a little bit because I think he'd love him at pick 10 for the Bears. Who wouldn't? This guy's a monster. I cannot say it enough. I've been so high on Armand Membu the whole draft season. He just went out and tested insane. He screamed through his 40-yard dash, which is awesome. Yeah. I think he's going to be a rock-solid tackle for you, and now you've got your tackles for the future. Talisa Fuanga, who was one of my favorites last year, and now Armand Membu, and you're building a wall in front of whoever plays quarterback for you. It starts in the trenches. I like Armand Membu to go pick 9.
Yeah, I love the pick. Never a bad thing to get a better O-line as well. Like you said, worked for the last 2 teams. Once again, I think that's a great and safe pick as well. With the Bears being on the clock, honestly, even if Membu was here, I do not know if I'd be taking him. Give me Ashton Genty here. I think the Bears thus far in the trades they've acquired a guard center or 2 guards, however you want to look at it. I think they still have an opportunity to get more depth pieces as this draft goes on. But at the end of the day, Ben Johnson just came from the Lions. I think that Ashton Genty I know there's a lot of talk about other backs and combine and stuff like that. At the end of the day, I think Ashton Genty is the best running back in this class. I think that's another great way to protect Caleb Williams and really try to help him out is by giving him a elite run game, especially after doing what they've done to the O-line so far. And I expect they're going to continue to do that as well. So,
yeah, Bears fans should be getting excited about that pick and should start getting worked up about that pick because you look at Joe Thuney and Jonah Jackson as run blocking graded offensive guards. They've been 2 of, if not the 2 best in the NFL when they're playing the guard position. Jonah Jackson was injured this past year and played a little bit of center. When he played guard and him and Thuney were both left guards in 2023, they were number 1 and number 2 run blocking offensive guards. Sign me up. Thank you very much.
Yeah, love what the Bears have done, and hopefully there's more additions in this free agency. But with what the Bears have already done, like you said, it's opened up pathways for them to take a 10. And I definitely would not be upset if it was Genty. My opinion's changing on him the more this goes on, just because I don't know if he's going to be amazing, but at least the opinion of the Bears taking him has changed for me. Moving on to 11. Now I know it's crazy and Niners fans will be pissed. I think if Genty's there, they should at least maybe smidgely consider that because CMC, man, he's cooked. Yeah, he's going to come back and I'm sure he'll play well. He is cooked sooner than later. I'm just saying, man, you could get Genty. But right here in this scenario, he's not there, so we won't even talk about it. Jahdae Barron is there, though. Maybe the best corner in the draft. He was the best corner in college football last year. He's got the ability to play the slot corner, but he was an outside corner last year for Texas, and he shut things down and had 5 picks and was the best corner in football. So I'm going to draft him for the 49ers. Their secondary has been Swiss cheese for a couple of years. You get a strong piece in addition to that secondary that helps immediately in Jahdae Barron.
Yeah, I love Jahdae Barron. Tested great too. Way more athletic than I expected him to be, truthfully. And you don't love the size at 5'11". He showed all year this year that he could play on the boundary at an elite level.
Yeah.
I mean, every time we do this, I'm like, I don't need to talk about his stats, but I'm going to because they're hilarious. 5 interceptions, no touchdowns with a opposing passer rating of 34.2. That doesn't happen. Those numbers don't exist ever. And that's what he did this year in SEC football, playing against the best players.
I'm not saying he's going to be this player because he is a first ballot elite corner, but Revis Island was 5'11", baby. So
that's a great point. It's a great point. Dallas Cowboys on the clock here, and I'm debating between 2 guys. I think we need to start worrying about Dallas's ability to hang on to Micah Parsons. I think we need to start really being concerned about whether they can, because he's going to want $40 million a year. And can they afford to pay him 40 and Dak 60 and CD 30? I don't know how they can. It's a real concern for me. But if you're Dallas, I think you can afford to go kind of short-minded on this and think, I've got Micah this season. I don't know about next season, but I've got him right now. I'll figure that out. But right now, all you have on the offensive side of the ball that puts any fear in the heart of a defense is CeeDee Lamb. That's all you have. So let's give him weapon number 2. I'm going to go with Luther Burden, wide receiver out of Missouri. Again, another guy that just seems to fall in these mock drafts a ton, and I question why. His quarterback was hurt all year, so he didn't put up great numbers, but with a somewhat competent college quarterback, just somewhat competent, he put up unbelievable numbers 2 seasons ago, tested really, really well at the combine again, showed he's an athlete, ran the gauntlet drill just so well too. There's nothing to dislike about Luther Burden. I think he's an excellent complementary wide receiver to CeeDee Lamb as well. Kind of like when the Vikings drafted Jordan Addison to go with Justin Jefferson. He's not the same guy, but he could do a lot of the same things, and he's going to be he's going to be super talented. So I like Luther Burden to Dallas at 12.
Yeah, I love the pick. Got to add weapons as well. I'm kind of torn here with the Dolphins on the clock. I think there's a couple of different ways they can go here. I'm going to go with one of my favorite players. I will say I could even see someone like Kenneth Grant going this high as well, just dominating the interior defensive line. But give me Malachi Starks. I've been on him early. I think he's going to be an excellent player. Not bringing Javon Holland back. You gotta shore up the back end of the defense. And I know Nick Mwari is going to be a very hot name, and I think he tested extremely well. But just based off of pure talent, I think Starks is already at a higher level than Emanwari is, even though I think, he could be a very boomer bust prospect. So give me Malachi Starks, safety out of Georgia.
Great pick.
Yeah, I like Starks to Miami. I want to see what they do in free agency, see if they can get an offensive guard, because I do think it's also dependent. If Membo's gone, Will Campbell's gone, do they reach for a guy like Kelvin Banks Jr., or do they take the best player at a position that's also of need? And it's probably the best position at a player that's also of need. You can't force picks. That's when you get busts.
Yep.
Moving on to 14, though, we got the Indianapolis Colts. A big need that's popping up for the Colts right now is interior offensive line. Will Fries, is he going to be back? What's going to go on there? I've seen Tyler Booker mocked in some mocks of the Colts. I think that would have to have some players go in front of them. I think if Tyler Warren is available, I know it's the cliche pick right now for the Colts. They need a tight end. He's the best one. Everybody's doing it. But if he's there, the Colts are taking him. It's a playmaker for Anthony Richardson. If not Richardson, it's a playmaker for the next quarterback, because this guy's that good. If the Colts go through another circus of quarterbacks, Warren will be the guy in 7 years. These are the numbers he's put up, and these have been his 11 to 12 quarterbacks that are all terrible, and yet he still has good numbers. So give me Tyler Warren, and hopefully it's an impact player immediately on that Colts offense, because they're trying to figure things out with this roster, and if things go well, they're going to keep it. So give me Tyler Warren to be an addition and a playmaker immediately.
Yeah, great pick. Tyler Warren to the Colts is, I don't want to say it's chalk, but man, I think how can you go wrong with that pick?
If he's there at 14 and they do not take him, I just will be shocked.
I'd be stunned. I'd be stunned if, I'll be honest, I'll be stunned if gets out of the top 10. Like his game, he looks a lot like Dallas Clark.
Yeah,
he looks a lot like Dallas Clark, Jeremy Shockey. Those are the two guys I think of when I watch him play. And I'm like, yeah, I'd take one of those on my team. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
The guy's awesome. So I love that pick. I think, yep, best player available too at that spot. I think it's just a really solid pick overall. Bringing up Atlanta here on the clock. A handful of needs, mostly on the defensive side of the ball as they try and get that sorted out. I'm going to go with one of my... No, you know what? Let's overreact to the combine a little bit. That's what this is all about. And someone who had an insanely good combine that was also had the production. So there's a few guys. There's 3 defensive ends I'm looking at here, and they're all 12, 13, 16. Pierce, Green, and Izaraku. I'm going to go with Donovan Izaraku. I'm going to say he goes earlier than expected. Why not? He had unbelievable production this year with 15 sacks, 14 sacks, 26 quarterback hurries. The guy was elite per PFF, and then he tested great at the combine too. It's, maybe he just had all this, maybe he didn't have this athleticism, but he just had the production. No, he's actually a freak athlete at the same time. Someone for them to build around these edge rushers, they can go any of those range. I think Green, Pierce, and Izaraku are all in that second tier of edge rushers behind Abdul Carter, and it's like, make your pick. So I'm going to go with Donovan Izaraku here, way earlier than I've ever had him go, and wouldn't shock me, man. He looked pretty good.
Yeah, it's interesting. DNs look good in the combine. I mean, James Pierce and Shamar Stewart both absolutely balled out athletically. But, I mean, Shamar also pulled his hammy. So what's that look like? And that's going to impact it. But, I mean, I don't think you can go wrong here. You said it. They're all in this second tier of DNs, and they're taking their pick of the litter there. And I don't dislike that pick at all.
Yeah, and I guess I understand like Shamar Stewart was one of the most athletic, if not the most athletic defensive end we've ever seen. He also averages... And I know this is still averages 1.5 sacks a season. So I know Izaraku has a production. He may not be as freaky of an athlete as Shamar Stewart, but I know what I've seen on the field.
Exactly. And it turns into that Shamar Stewart, or is he the guy that's the freak athlete that we have to mold? And if a team doesn't maybe believe or think that they don't have that time, the Falcons don't have time to mold an edge rusher. They're trying to compete immediately right now. They've got a young quarterback on a rookie deal.
Right. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Love the pick. With Cardinals on the clock, I think there's really 2 guys I'm looking at here. But at the end of the day, defensive minded head coach. And I think it's hard to get elite edge rushers later on in drafts. So give me James Pierce Jr., edge from Tennessee. I think the production was there. I think the 40 showed his explosiveness is there as well. Obviously a little bit lighter weight of a guy. But I definitely think that allows you to have some flexibility with how you play him, dropping him back in coverage if needed, or, really sending him off the edge, whatever works. So I think just with the defensive minded head coach, they're going to have to go with someone who I think can really get to the quarterback. So,
yep. Stud, absolute stud player.
Yeah. James Pearson. I do think that this is going to happen where it's once one of these edges go, you're going to see a couple of them go because they don't, and not everybody wants to miss out. Now, the Bengals here at 17, this is interesting. I would put edge in a need for them now, especially with Hendrickson requesting the trade. It's not listed as one of their
And Sam
needs.
Hubbard retired.
Yeah, so it's like they do not have either edge. And then the other side, they've got receiver, tight ends. Is it weapons? I think they're all right with the weapons they have. T. Higgins is going to play on that tag. As much as he might bitch on it, guess what? Players have realized, I don't know if I can sit out a full season. So they're going to have Higgins. They're going to have Chase. They're going to have Burrow. They're going to have Chase Brown in the backfield. I don't know if you need another weapon immediately. Josh Simmons is interesting because is it the tackle to protect Burrow? Because I think Simmons, with the health looking as it is, man, that's going to be a stud tackle for a team. But I'm going to make it 3 straight D ends off the board. Give me Shamar Stewart. Okay. Give me Shamar Stewart to replace one of these edge linemen that they're losing in Hubbard and Hendrickson. So I'm going to have the Cincinnati Bengals. Your defense was terrible, and it just got worse. You have to try to get better because you saw how this season went. It's going to be a repeat where you score 35 and lose. You need somebody that can get to the quarterback. Give me Shamar Stewart and his insane combine just to fly up boards a little bit.
Yep, as he should. When you test like that, I mean, you should fly up boards, truthfully. So I like that pick. If you didn't take him there, I would have taken him with this pick. But since he is not on the board for me, I am going to go
a curveball because I know the Seahawks and Stewart are connected. So
yes, they are. That was a good one because I was just sitting there waiting. I was like, all right, it's going to be Shamar for the Seahawks. Moving on. I do have a backup plan. A guy falling a little bit. I'm going to go Kelvin Banks Jr., offensive lineman out of University of Texas. I think he's good enough to go at potentially pick 13 if Miami doesn't address the guard spot. He could be I think definitely top 15 guy for sure. Gives them the flexibility for position. Both of their tackles were hurt this past season, so he could start at guard and kick out if needed. I just think he fills that hole for them really, really well. And he's a very, very good prospect. I think he's my third. I've got him as my third rated offensive lineman in this class. Very high on Kelvin Banks Jr. and his athleticism.
I'm seeing him get sort of ripped apart at the tackle position, but I'm not saying he's going to be an amazing tackle, but he's going to get looks at it at the pro level, and rightfully so. And like you said, Nate, the versatility and availability to play 4 of the 5 positions on the offensive line, and the Seahawks might need 4 potential at some point during the season. So I do love Kelvin Banks to the Seahawks.
Yeah, I just think he fills a good need for them. So
yeah, I love the pick there. Kind of torn here for what the Bucs will do. I think a guy that does give you I'm gonna take Mike Green here.
okay.
I think I'm a little bit of a Mike Green hater, but I do think that the production was there. I think that this is kind of where I would see him going, maybe late teens, early 20s. And I think you can never, once again, it's a premium position, rotate a lot. Most teams do. So give me Mike Green edge. Hopefully can create some pressure down there in Tampa. So
yeah, I think that's a very solid pick. I do think he's a top 20 guy. And the Bucs really need edge rushers, and he's probably the best one left at this point in the board. So I think that's a real solid pick for them.
Yeah, now moving on to the Broncos here, and I don't want to get too repetitive with mine, but Colson Loveland is very interesting. I think Kenneth Grant would be interesting, but I'm going to take a player. I'm going to go Jihad Campbell here from Alabama, linebacker. Going to have Denver address the captain of their defense for the next 10 years, and Campbell from Alabama. And just shoring up the middle of Sean Payton's defense. I think Bo Nix, you liked what you saw from him last year. You hopefully can make somewhat of a move in free agency to try to get at least a number 2. And I'm going to go Jihad Campbell here. Just a really good player, fallen because of position, but Denver scoops him up because of a position of need.
Yeah, Jihad Campbell is linebacker 1 in this class, off ball, very good instincts, very quick trigger too. I'm a big fan of how he plays the game of football, and he was recruited as an edge. He was a 4-star edge rusher coming out of high school, and they were like, we think you could be pretty good off ball, and they were right, man. Alabama got that one right. He's been fantastic for them, and middle linebackers out of Alabama typically are pretty damn solid.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Pittsburgh on the clock here, and I'm going to give him a weapon. I don't know who's going to play quarterback for him. It's too early for Jackson Dart for me still, but I'm going to go with someone I don't love. I haven't loved him.
Good.
I haven't loved him the whole process. I want to take Emeka Egbuka, but I just know that someone's going to take Matthew Golden. Someone's going to do it. And he tested so well at the combine. I did not see 4.3 speed in him. 4.29 speed, whatever it was. I mean, the dude flew. And he's got pretty solid route running ability. He didn't have crazy numbers this year, but I don't care about wide receiver numbers all the time, especially when Quinn Ewers was really struggling to get the ball down the field. Really good movement ability. I think he's going to be solid. As much as I like to dislike him and think maybe he was forced onto us in the first round, he tested pretty damn well. So I'm gonna maybe back off on the Matthew Golden hate a little bit and have him go here to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I like the Matthew Golden love that he's getting. I think it's a little bit of he was on a really good Texas team that also loved to run the football. And it's like, well, he's not the only elite talent that they had.
Right.
And I think that's part of the reason why maybe numbers were down. I like his size, 6 foot, 195, and he's moving at that size. So I would love the Steelers getting a weapon because they just need one. Like you said, they just need one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the pick. Ooh, with the Chargers, 2 Michigan men here that I think could honestly, I know Kenneth Grant might not be a big need for him, but I think he's a really, really good prospect here. But at the end of the day, they just cut Joey Bosa.
Khalil
Mack's a free agent. So I think you got to get a guy that's still able to stop the run because I do think that they did have edges that could do that. So give me Michael Williams, edge out of Georgia here. I know this is going to absolutely kill Harbaugh not having the Michigan men in his building, but at the end of the day, I think edge is a gigantic need for them. So give me a guy that I think is going to be great in the run early and often, and then hopefully can develop as a pass rusher. So,
yep, absolutely agree.
Yep, and we're on to the Packers here at pick 23. So again, here comes my annual Packers joke. I'm taking a kicker in the first
Kicker.
round, baby.
Well,
First round. Don't even
Mason
know.
Crosby did retire. Legend.
Finally, I mean, he's only been
Yeah.
gone for like 11 years as well, which is absurd. Green Bay Packers here. I'm going to address the defensive line. Kenneth Grant should not be falling this far, and the Green Bay Packers break my heart and take another Michigan guy that's going to be a beast on the defensive line, and it again just breaks my heart. Kenneth Grant should not fall, but he might just because other positions are going to go ahead of a interior defensive lineman, but he's damn good, and I'm going to have him go into Green Bay.
Yep. I love that fit for them. Right next to Kenny Clark, man, that'd be a hard team to run on.
Yeah, and I know that there's the corner need, especially with losing Alexander. It's just I don't know. Do you love another corner enough to go 23? It might be where they sneak in late, but I don't know about 23.
And a ton of corners are available in free agency. If they don't want to pay
Yes.
Jair that high price tag, they can still come get a vet. And I think a mid, you know what I mean, a very good price range as well.
Yep.
So
Agreed. Minnesota on the clock here. I'm going to go chalk. I'm going to go with another guy. I mean, the running back room was unbelievable at the combine. I mean, these dudes were 220 pounds running 4.4s. That's not normal. And Omarion Hampton was unbelievable. And I'm going to send him to Minnesota. I'm going to make him a Viking. Aaron Jones, free agent. You don't really have any youth at that position. JJ McCarthy, probably going to be the new starting QB there. Get him a best friend just to grow next to him and just give them a nasty running back, man. He's so good. He's so powerful. I'm seeing, I don't agree with it, but I'm seeing a lot of smoke about him for RB1, like pushing Ashton Genty for RB1. I don't know if I'm on board with that, but I do think he's an absolute stud, and he'll be a problem for Minnesota, man.
Yep.
yeah, I absolutely love that pick. And I think that offense could be so fun
So
to
good.
watch, especially
Oh.
how young they are and they would just get time to develop together.
Yep.
But yeah, I love that pick. And I do think these running backs are closer probably than I'm even giving them credit for as well. I think Genty is a phenomenal talent coming out, and I think their production is huge, but Hampton's a phenomenal prospect. And I think this running back class, you're going to have studs coming out of the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round with these guys. I think they're extremely deep. So Texans on the clock here. I think this whole offseason is going to be about one thing and one thing only, and that's shoring up the trenches. I think at the end of the day, there are a few different guys that they could take here. I like Josh Simmons. Maybe a little early, but I'm going to go with the first true guard that I think is going to come off the board, Tyler Booker. I think this is a guy that could go earlier as well. I think he does move well in short spaces. And at the end of the day, you got to do everything that you can to protect Stroud, especially after what happened last year with that line.
Yep.
Yeah,
Tyler
and
Booker's awesome.
I know Booker didn't have the best combine athletically, but that's just not the guy's play style. He's a brawler. He's a mauler. He gets his hands on you, and you lose the rep because he's just physically stronger than you, and you can't get away. Number 26 here. I think this would be tough. I think it's between the two Ohio State boys sitting at the top of my board right here, and that's Josh Simmons and Emeka Egbuka. I think Simmons falling to them, chores it up, and I think they draft the tackle to protect Matthew Stafford for another year. I know Cooper Kupp leaving, it's a departure. Maybe you replace him with Egbuka, but I've also seen talk now, and it might just be Rams being hopeful on social media, but with Jonah Jackson being gone and them saving the $15 million, can they maybe keep Kupp? I don't know if that's all just optimism, copium. But give me Josh Simmons, though, to the Los Angeles Rams. If you're running it back with Stafford, you're going to compete. You went 10-7 last year when it was another year of they're going to fall off the cliff. But you may as well protect your quarterback that's 37-year-old and does not want to take hits.
Yes. I think Les Snead and McVay do a phenomenal job of finding gems in the draft at the wide. I mean, look at Puka. I mean, I believe is Tutu Atwell coming back as well. I know that might be a little bit.
They also have another receiver they drafted in like the 6th round last year that played pretty decent. Yeah. And I don't remember his name. That's bad.
But I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he was a white guy. I know that. Too, so.
Yeah, and he was solid for them. So shout out him. Baltimore Ravens on the clock here, pick 27. I got a couple of thoughts on who to go with. I think I'm going to steal someone. I'm going to take one of Bobby's favorites. I'm going to take Siobhan Ravel, cornerback out of Eastern Carolina. I think that they desperately need a new number 1 corner or someone to at least push for that position. I know they took Nate Wiggins last year. Why not double up? That defense was not good for 90% of the season last year. You need good corners. Who's going to match up against? You play the Bengals Twice a year, man, you've got to have corners to match up against these guys. The AFC is loaded with weapons. You've got to have the corners to match up with them. And I think Siobhan Ravel is someone who's going to continue to hopefully move right back up draft boards because he has the size to be a number one corner. And a lot of people think he's a day two guy, but why not take a shot on him at day one? The Ravens can't get him on day two. They've got to think about that. Like, oh, this guy's a second rounder, but an early second rounder. Let's just do it. End of the first round pick. And I'm a fan of his size. If his knee checks out okay, I mean, what else could you really want from him at the position? I think he's awesome.
Yeah, and he has a great story too. I believe he was a walk-on at at Eastern Carolina as well. A guy that if he would have ran a 40, probably would have ran a 4.3, if not a very low 4.4. Good height. Like I said, great story. A guy they walk on, they couldn't keep off the field. At the end of the day, he just came out and performed, loves to compete. And also with some of the cornerback depth in general, like Ben Morrison having 2 hip surgeries. This is a guy that, despite the injury, if the medicals come back okay, could go very high just based on, how good he could look. Pick 28, Lions here on the clock. Think they do have to go defense. And this is a guy that I think could play multiple positions for them. Give me Jalen Walker, linebacker out of Georgia. I think he gives them the position flexibility. I think he is a dog, literally coming from Georgia and figuratively as well. I think this is a guy that would fit in great with Dan Campbell and what the Lions are trying to do up there. So
yes. That would be an awesome pick. He will probably play off ball. Or not off ball, I'm sorry. He'll probably play edge. He'll probably rush the passer at the next level, which will be interesting to see how he does. Did not measure like an edge rusher, but he's got awesome first step burst.
Yep.
Great first step, really good speed for it. So who knows? It'll be interesting to see how he does.
Yeah, and I'm pissed because that's who I was going to take for Washington, and he got hurt, and he's going to work out about a week before the drafts in a private workout, and he's also still on schedule to work out at the pro day for Georgia, which is good. But I think that these later teams in the first might benefit from him slipping just simply because of the fact that it's going to be such a late test. Teams might be hesitant to pull the trigger on him. Washington Commanders, I don't think receiver is a need anymore with the addition of Deebo Samuel. Maybe it is just for the future, but I don't. I think Emeka Egbuka falls another spot and maybe even slips out of the first round. This is a tough one. Do you want to address defense with your coach and Quinn, or do you want to go offense to try to protect Daniels? Great. Zabel, I think that might even be how you pronounce it. I don't think it's Zabel. I think it's Zabel.
Zabel?
So,
what's his name? Abel?
Yeah, but it's a tough one. I'm gonna go Scorton here for the defensive side. Get somebody for the defense of this Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna rock with Scorton.
Yeah, I have loved Nick Scorton throughout this entire process. I love that he slimmed down for the combine and ran it at his Purdue weight. That was the best form of Nick Scorton. Texas A&M's defense is so unique because they have all of this talent on the defensive side of the ball, but they didn't get any pressure on the quarterback at all. Like they've got, Demetrius Knight, Nick Scorton, you've got Shamar Stewart and Shamar Turner, all of them really good at freak athletes, but they were playing all 20 to 30 pounds heavier than what they just did the combine at. It's like, what were we doing here? I understand stopping the run is obviously very important, but man, you got to have someone that can rush the passer. Nick Scorton has the strong hands to play run stopping D end, and then give him that speed, give him that size, and he's going to be a great pass rusher too. I think that's a very good pick for them, along with the fact like Jonathan Allen, they're allowing to walk for a trade. They don't have any good edge rushers currently, so they got to rebuild that defensive line that was once a strength. I think Nick Scorton's a really good first step there. Buffalo Bills here for pick 30. 2 options. Either Walter Nolan I'm considering for them, but I think, again, this is the post-combine mock draft, so I'm going to overreact purposefully to what I just saw at the combine. And nobody did it better than Nick Eamon-Warry. And the Bills need a safety. All you have in that safety room right now is Damar Hamlin. Shout out Damar Hamlin. Great story.
Yeah.
Not a great football player. No offense. And Cole Bishop, who's a second-round pick who didn't look that great last year. The back end of their defense was rough. Nick Eamon-Warry is a Derwin James type of DB. And I know that's an easy comp, but you watch him play, and that's really how he plays the game of football. And you could argue, we need a receiver. Emeka Egbuka's there. You just paid Khalil Shakir a bunch of money. You just drafted Keon Coleman. Get the safety. Get the defensive playmaker that you missed this past season. So I'm going to go Nick Eamon-Warry here at pick 30.
Yeah, I love the pick. I think he can be his
He's a
upside
freak.
is insane. Yeah,
Yes.
he's
Yeah.
literally DK Metcalf numbers.
Yeah.
And he did have some production as well. I think he had
Yeah.
6 picks last year with South Carolina as well. So great ball skills as well. With the Chiefs on the clock, I think there are a couple different ways they can go with this one. I think at the end of the day, though, they do have to kind of reinforce that O line.
Yeah.
Obviously getting rid of a few key starters there. I do think they're not in as bad a shape as people may think, but give me Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State. I think would be a great pick here for him. Gives him a little bit of position flexibility. So got to just get better in the trenches, protect Mahomes.
Yeah, his high end comp for me is Joe Tooney. Like if he reaches what I think he can do, it's Joe Tooney. Similar size, similar profile, a guy that can play any position on the offensive line for you, just like Joe Tooney did. You know, you need him to play left tackle, great, he can do it. He did it at a high level. You need him to play guard, great, he's got it. You need him to play center for some reason, he's got you. I love the versatility he brings. I think he's a great player. I love that pick for Kansas City.
And now we're on to Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles at pick 32. Emeka Egbuka is very interesting to them, but I think him and Devontae Smith play too much of a similar role. Emeka Egbuka played about 90% of his snaps in the slot position for Ohio State, and Devontae Smith plays a majority of his snaps at the slot position for the Eagles. So I'm going to pass on that. Nate, you said it. This is the combine mock. So I'm going to take a guy I loved. I thought maybe he could sneak in, and it's just going to be off the athleticism alone. Give me Landon Jackson.
I was already on him.
Give me Landon Jackson
I knew
to
it.
the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to look at him and go, man, this guy is a guy we can take time with because we're the Eagles and we're in such a good spot. If he's not finding the field immediately, that's all right. This kid's athletic ability is going to stick with him for multiple years to come. We can develop some pass rushing moves, get him to become a nasty edge and eventually take over a spot. Maybe he even is an impact player immediately because, again, he is such a freak athlete with how he tested at the combine. But give me Landon Jackson sneaking in off of the great performance, showing his athleticism.
Yep. I like it. I like it. I'm turning the corner on Landon Jackson piece by piece here. He looked damn good in those drills, and I was like, all right, he knows how to hit a bag now. I like that. I like that. Cleveland on the board here as we kick off round number 2. They went with Abdul Carter in the first round, and it paid off because they decided, you know what, let's see what happens in this draft as it pertains to quarterback. And Jackson Dart fell out of the first round, fell right into their laps at pick 33. I think that's the pick for them. I think you have to get, if you're, you can't go into next season with Deshaun Watson as your only quarterback who's not going to play all year. So then what, you're going to just trot Dorian Thompson-Robinson out there the whole season? I mean, I guess if you want the number 1 overall pick, that's the way to do it. Also, the way to not get anybody to buy a single ticket to your games. But if that's what you want to do, great. I'm going to go with Jackson Dart here. I think that he's a late first round guy potentially just because of the positional need. Like I could see Philly or even Kansas City opting to trade out and give this pick to the Browns or someone else who needs a QB. I do like Jackson Dart. He looked really good at the combine. He's really the only one from his group who threw the ball and looked like he knew what he was doing. So I was pretty pleased with that. I like Jackson Dart. I think he can be solid. I'll go with him at pick 33 to Cleveland.
Yeah, great pick. That's tough. I was really hoping he'd fall to this pick here for the Giants.
Yes.
Hmm.
That's right. Better get to thinking.
Let's get to reaching.
Uh-huh.
I know. I'm really feeling like it.
No,
I think that regardless of who plays quarterback, at the end of the day, the Giants do need to improve their O-line. I think they went out and got better defensively, and possibly offensively as well. Give me Josh Connerly out of Oregon, tackle out of Oregon. I do think there's a scenario where the Giants could in a later round pick a Jalen Milroe, Quinn Ewers, Curtis, anyone to kind of come in and take some time to learn. I just think it's a little bit of a reach here to take Milroe at pick 34. So just give me the best tackle available still at a position of need for us.
And I know this isn't like a Giants breakdown video, but I really think they believe they're close to competing.
Yeah.
And if I'm the Giants, I'm kicking the wheels on Sam Darnold and Brock Purdy. Hey, what do you want, San Francisco? Because we offered the Rams a compensation that was good enough, and we're willing to pay a quarterback $50 million. If you guys don't want to, obviously that would be insane. But we'll see what the G-men do. And this, moving on to pick 35, this is where he falls. I mean, the fall stops. Emeka Egbuka, an absolutely insane slot receiver. If they're taking Cam Ward number 1, you go get him, his Malik Neighbors, a guy that can come make an impact. Maybe it's not as big as Malik Neighbors, but it's his rookie receiver that he can build a connection with. And Emeka Egbuka gets open, man, out of the slot. He's got good size as well. He's not going to be a tiny receiver out there. So give me Egbuka to the Titans. They address offensive heavy.
Great pick to pair him up with Calvin Ridley. Obviously, Treylon Burke hasn't worked out there. Nick Westbrook-Akine is a free agent. They traded D-Hop. It's like the wide receiver room is thin, and you get a guy like Emeka Egbuka to fall to you to grow with your new quarterback 1. I think that's a home run pick. Would not be upset if I were the Titans at all. However, I am going to say this. First of all, I want to point out to everybody watching this who's screaming at us over certain players still being available. No, we haven't made any insane reaches, right? I can't look at the picks we made and be like, okay, that's crazy. Like, this is a deep draft, especially from picks like 12 to pick 60. It is deep. There are guys that you can argue could go anywhere in there. So that being said, if I'm the Jacksonville Jaguars, I just did a backflip. Because Trevor Lawrence, I just got rid of Christian Kirk. I just got rid of Evan Ingram. Can I offer you a Teteroa McMillan and a Colston Loveland instead? Can I offer you those as your weapons now? And just decide, you know what? Yeah, we're going to give up a lot of points. Let's try and fix the defense in free agency maybe. Because there's no fixing that in one draft. But if I can get Colston Loveland to come in for the next 4 years at least to be my tight end number 1, to go along with Teteroa McMillan and Brian Thomas Jr., how do you stop all those guys? And a healthy Trevor Lawrence? I mean, Jags, congratulations. You won the draft. That's an incredible haul. Colston Loveland and Teteroa McMillan, thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, Loveland's extremely high on, sorry, Bob. He's extremely high on a lot of people's big boards. He really is.
Yeah, you want to talk about restocking your offensive weapons and getting younger doing it. And these are elite players. I think Loveland very well could be the best tight end coming out of this class with the highest ceiling. I think he is the most pure pass catcher, quarterback friendly, very similar to Evan Ingram. So it's really just pick your poison on who you want out of this tight end class. So, and I agree with you, Nate. I think one thing too that is hurting some of these prospects is just the depth of the class. I mean, the D tackle class is extremely deep within the first 60 picks. Same with tight ends. I mean, we're going to see a lot of movers. So pick 37 Raiders on the clock here. Kind of going based off of our mock, I'm really hoping they're addressing the QB in the offseason free agency. I'm going to go with the guy who I am extremely high on. I was high on him coming in. I think he performed extremely well at the combine. He even got some Nico Collins comps. Give me Jaden Higgins, wide receiver out of Iowa State University. I think he is the best receiver available right now. My opinion, I think he is fluid. He's a big body guy and a great target to pair with Brock Bowers and the rest of the team there at the Raiders. So,
yeah, me and Addison said this in our post-combine breakdown we did, but Iowa State had some athletes on that roster, man. Holy cow. I mean, their other receiver, even Noel, I believe it is, Jalen Noel, he was awesome. And then their corner, Darian Porter, awesome. They had some talent in Iowa State, man. Good for them.
Yes, and now we're on to the Patriots at pick number 38. And I think this is just a situation of a player that is so good, it might not be a position of immediate need for the New England Patriots, but I'm taking Walter Nolan of Mississippi. I think that's just too good of a player to continue to fall down this draft board, and the New England Patriots say, hey, we're going to take a player that we believe should not be here, and it's a blessing that he is, and we're going to run to the podium with that one, strictly based on his potential and where he's at. The Patriots are going to pick him at 38.
Yeah, that would make me sick to my stomach. I mean, that is an unbelievable pick for them. If Will Campbell is who we think he is, and if Walter Nolan is who I think he is, that's an unbelievable first 2 picks. And is that not a Mike Vrabel first 2 rounds? Offensive line, defensive tackle, just build the trenches. Like, he's such a trenches coach. And you're telling me you can get Will Campbell and Walter Nolan? That makes me want to vomit a little bit.
Whoever the Patriots do take, they're going to have an attitude with Mike Vrabel, and they will want to smack you in the mouth. So I think regardless of who you take, you got to keep that in mind with them. So
Agreed. Chicago Bears on the clock here, having gone Ashton Genty in the first round. Kind of trickier spot here. There's a ton of names of guys that I like. some that are solid. I mean, I want to go Quinshon Judkins in that spot, but they already got a running back, so I'm not going to do that. Georgia's center is a tempting one for me, but I really do think the Bears are going to get Drew Dahlman. I think that they're going to go all in and get him. So then do you just go like BPA and do you go someone like Derek Harmon, who I think is really, really good? Do you go with someone like Demetrius Knight to play linebacker for you? Jack Sanborn, it sounds like they might be getting rid of him, but you're paying top dollar for TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds. So it's kind of a tricky spot here. I think I'm going to go DT. I'm going to go best player available. I'm going to go Derek Harmon out of Oregon. Not necessarily the biggest need for the Bears, but a value that I'm not going to pass up for them there. And you can't have enough of these talented guys on your defensive line. So we'll go Derek Harmon.
If you fell to 41, that was my immediate pick for them, Nate. I do like Derek Harmon. It might not be the biggest need, but I think last year Bears fans would tell you it became a glaring problem when Andrew Billings got hurt. And he's our big body run stuffer. And how about you get a guy that can rotate in and potentially even replace Billings, who's getting up in age soon, with a 6'5", 300-plus pound big boy from Oregon. I definitely like the defensive line addition there because last year the Bears experienced what it is to lose your run-stopping D lineman and not have somebody that could do anything close to his level of production, and they became the worst run-stopping team in the league.
Yeah, I love the pick too, and I do think also going back, like piggybacking off of that, I think he could be kind of another defensive tackle you pair with Dexter as well when you're wanting to rush the passer. I think Derek Harmon actually has a lot of upside as a pass rusher. Yeah, along with being a big body guy that's able to stop the run. So love that pick. And like I said, I think this is an extremely deep D tackle class. So with the Saints on the clock, I think a few different ways they can go here. We did address the O line. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go 3D tackles back to back to back. I do like Darius Alexander out of Toledo. This is a small school guy that's been getting a lot of hype. I think he is a big enough body guy that he will be able to handle the run well. And once again, just address the trenches, especially coming in. I think the Saints are kind of in an interesting spot with cap and things of that nature. I think you really just try to cement your trenches and kind of build from there so you can really see what you have. So
I like that. I like that pick. Him falling down. I feel like this is a good range for him. I don't see the first round, but early second feels like a good spot for him, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Moving on to my favorite team in the NFL, the Chicago Bears at pick number 41. Now, it's really gotten interesting for me on Bears mocks, and it's just with the additions of these free agents, it's just opened the door. We're no longer shoehorning in guaranteed offensive linemen, or they're guaranteed a third offensive lineman out of their first 3 picks. It's just not going to be that. And I could see none of the top 3 picks being offensive linemen if the board shakes down the way it does here. I mean, I feel like this is just a little early for Ratledge. And at that point, I don't know if you love any of the tackles left to take them here, even if they're a developmental pick. I know it wasn't popular in our last mock, but I'm going to take Xavier Watts from
I still like
Notre Dame. As much as I love Brisker and I think he's going to play, and Byard as well for this next season, we need to address the future of the safety room because it's got question marks. One's an older player, and the other one's a guy that just missed 8 games for a concussion. You have to address that sometime, and I'm going to say the Bears are going to do that through the draft. Xavier Watts from Notre Dame at 41.
I do have a question. How would you feel about a wide receiver here as well?
See, I know it got interesting, and then it just
I thought too.
What position? Because it's like Ao Manor from Stanford. He's an X. He's big body, and it's like, okay, are we taking away Rome to be the X? Because I sort of want Rome to be X. But at the same time, how many 3 receiver sets is Ben Johnson going to run? Because I know running the football is going to be important. And if it's coming down to it where we have 2 receivers, I'm fine with it being DJ and Rome. Receiver will be addressed. We need a third one eventually. I just don't know if it's top 3 picks for the Bears. Maybe if they really love one of these players, I won't be pissed because I know that we do need one. Because if it's not Keenan Allen, we need a third guy. Because who is it? It's nobody right now. So that's an interesting debate, and I thought about it for a second, but I just didn't love any of these guys enough to go, they'd fit in perfectly here on the offense, so I just passed.
Okay. No, I think Xavier Watts is a great pick, especially because it may not be listed as a need. I think it's a need. I think safety is definitely a need.
You got if it's not, you have a lot of faith in an old guy and a hurt guy.
Yeah, and I don't trust that. And that doesn't feel like the Bears' MO. I just feel like you go young here, and I think Xavier Watts is someone who didn't test, so we've forgotten him a little bit. You know, he's been forgotten behind Malachi Starks and Nick Eamon, but I think he's right there with them, man. I think he's really, really talented, so I think that's a solid pick. Jets on the clock here. They went Shedeur Sanders in the first round. I really want to bring the beef and give them a defensive tackle that just brings the pain. And I want to do, there's two players I'm thinking of, and I'll just talk it out so that way Jets fans understand where I'm coming from here. Tyleik Williams from Ohio State gives them the beef in the middle of that defensive line alongside Quinnen Williams. You need that because right now it's just Big Q. So you've got to get some more like talent and firepower in there. But I also, again, we just watched Maxwell Hairston run the fastest 40 at the combine. DJ Reed is going to be leaving in free agency. What does Aaron Glenn, how does he want to build his defense? I'm going to go with Tyleik Williams. I'm going to take the Ohio State defensive tackle. I do think he's more of a trenches defensive coach than the secondary. And I think he's probably those that believe in the philosophy. My secondary will be better because my defensive line is so good. Because my defensive line does their job, it makes the secondary's job easier, and I can fill that position with lesser talent. So I'm going to go Tyleik Williams at 42.
Yeah, I love the pick there. I don't think you could go wrong with either guy, to be honest with you. And I will say only, I guess, devil's advocate is Aaron Glenn was a DB, so maybe he values that position a little bit more. But yeah, coming back, 49ers on the clock. We actually had some guy comment in here that they would be cutting a player that was just recently cut. Kudos to you on the D line. And that's where I'm going to address right here. Once again, I think this is exactly why the Jets do that as well. This is a very deep interior defensive line class, especially in the second, late first, going into the third. Pick your poison. I think they got to get a big run stuffer. And when I mean big, I mean Alfred Collins, D tackle out of Texas big. I think this guy 6'5", 320, didn't have a ton of production, especially wrestling the passer. But at the end of the day, you got that coming off the edge, especially when they go out in free agency and pair the Bosa brothers together. So I think Alfred Collins can be that run stuffer up the middle, really clog things up for you. So
yes, love that pick. I agree. I think Alfred Collins is going to be great.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be awesome. I'm a big fan of that one. That's a good one. Cowboys, Addison.
On to the Cowboys. Yes, at pick 44. And what better way to stop an artery from bleeding than throw on a $1 Band-Aid on it and just calling it a day?
Bingo.
That's what they do with Luther Burden in the first, and that's what they do with Quinshon Judkins in the second.
Ooh.
Give me the running back from Ohio State. I think he's enough. He's got the size to be a first through third down running back, and he's got the speed to take home runs the distance. And I think that's going to be very intriguing for a lot of teams. And I think Dallas is a little bit thankful that Genty was not given to them, and they have the freedom to take one of these elite second level backs or second tier backs of this draft class. I think you got a good chance 4, 5, 6 of these guys are long-term starters for teams in the future. I think Quinshon Judkins is at the top of that second tier, right below Genty and Hampton. And I think the Cowboys snag him up immediately to fill the hole that is the entire running back room in Dallas. And it's just, hey, shiny new weapon here, shiny new weapon here. Everything else might be falling apart, but at least we're trying with some big time offensive moves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go, that's the Band-Aid on the artery. Not that Judkins is not a good player. It's that everything's falling apart. Let's fix it with 2 shiny new offensive toys that may not help, really.
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree with that. Absolutely. I do like Quinshon Judkins a ton.
I do.
And
Judkins is
I like
be
that
elite,
pick,
man.
But you're not wrong. They've got a lot of deeper issues that they've got to figure out, and adding a wide receiver and a running back doesn't exactly scream like long-term success. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
These are guys, they're going to be good for a few
Jerry,
years.
man. Jerry wants to win. He's not going to have this. We got it. We could rebuild for 2 to 3 seasons or something. He's trying to win every year for the rest of his life.
Yep. Yes, he is. Colts up on the clock here, having taken Tyler Warren in the first round. And I'm going to go with the Colts type. I know what Chris Ballard likes, and it's the RAS scores. He likes the freak athletes, and I've got one at a position of need. I've got 2 I'm going to think about now. Well, now that I see that this guy's here.
I was going to say the other guy there as well.
And I'm going to do it. I'm going to save you guys the trouble of having to try to pronounce his name.
I think you could go either Darian Porter or you can go Azariah Thomas. And I'm going to go with Azariah Thomas out of Florida State. I think they're both awesome. I think Thomas has gotten a lot of first-round buzz. I think Darian Porter is going to start getting a ton of first-round buzz as well. And again, it's just who you want more. In this instance, I'm going to go with him. I think he's very scheme versatile, does not have to play man. Good long arms, 85th percentile arms as I'm reading here. And I like that pick. I do go with him also over Darian Porter just because of age. Azariah Thomas is 20 and Darian Porter's 24. I think that plays a part. So give me
I
Thomas.
think the Colts would be grinning if these are the corners that are available here at 45. If you've got Amos, Hairston, Thomas, Porter, all available, you're picking from a good crop of corners right there.
And it's Azariah. I said it wrong. It's Azariah Thomas.
Yeah, love the pick there. Like I said, I really don't think you can go wrong. And at the end of the day, too, with it, I do think that is going to be one of the depths of the free agency class is corner. But at the end of the day, Lou Anarumo, new DC, him and Chris Ballard are on the same page. They love the big body corners that are athletic freaks. We're going to play a little bit more press man. So I love the pick there. I don't think you can go wrong with any of the corners that are available. With the Falcons on the clock, went edge with the first pick. I think they're also grinning ear to ear at some of the players that are available. Wideout's an obvious position that they could go. But at the end of the day, I think they do come back here and pick a corner as well. A guy that I really love, I think the combine did him very well. Give me Maxwell Hairston. I think at the end of the day, it's a position of need for them. And I think he's a fast enough guy to hang with anyone. I think he's big enough as well to be able to cover anyone. Guy that I think we could see go even earlier than this too, depending if a team really likes him. So,
great pick. I thought about him for the Colts just because he's talented as hell. But I just know the Colts don't draft those guys. They don't draft the shorter. They want the height, length.
Right.
That's what Ballard does. He has a type.
For sure. I do love his mentality, and I think he's a very big competitor as well and wants to go toe-to-toe with the best of them. And I think that's something you kind of need in this league as well, as that no matter what, I'm going to beat the guy across from me, that kind of blind confidence. So
Agreed.
Now we're on to the Arizona Cardinals at pick number 47. This is interesting because I think two needs for this Arizona team are both looking at him in the face here. Is it Alec Ayomanor or TJ Sanders? I know I'm butchering names, but Ayo Maynor. I think it's TJ Sanders, part of that nasty South Carolina defense last year. And it is off of a first-round edge pick for the Cardinals, and I think they address back-to-back. You're getting your head coach pieces for his side of the football. And the offensive side, it wasn't perfect last year, but if they're running it back with the same crew of Murray, Connor, McBride, Harrison, you can fill out wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 with some other names. I think TJ Sanders can be an impact player on that defensive line immediately for Gannon in that defense.
Agreed. Yep. I think that's a great pick. It's funny. One of the NFL Stock Exchange, their PFF guys, they call him Bull Rush McIntyre because that's what he does. He just bull rushes every play. He's just going to go through you. It's really fun to watch. He's really a really good prospect too. I mean, 10 sacks the last 2 seasons from that position. Again, young guy, just really good fit for that defense. And then you've got a solid defensive line there too, because you went Darius Robinson in the first round last year, and then you add in these 2 players, and you've got something there in Arizona, and you've got some youth there too. So I really like that pick. Miami on the board here at pick 48. I don't think I've never gotten the pick for them here, so I'm pretty excited about this. And there's some good talent available at offensive line. I think it has to be a guard. I love Malachi Starks in the first round, especially if you let Javon Holland go. I think Starks has plenty of upside to be the guy there long-term, which you need to find. So I'm going to go offensive line here, and I've got a couple of options, a couple of my favorites. Obviously, I've been a huge Wyatt Milam fan throughout the entire process. He was elite at West Virginia, and he gives you the flexibility to play tackle, but he really does have short arms. Like Will Campbell has short arms. Milam's arms are shorter. So do I trust him to play tackle? No. And I haven't seen him play guard. I'm going to go Donovan Jackson out of Ohio State for us here. I think he played at a really high level this year. Started at guard, had to kick out to tackle, and played great at tackle for him too. So he's a guard by trade, but he gives you really good tackle flexibility, which I think would be great for Miami. Obviously, he's young. He's only 22 years old. He's got, like it says on here, I mean, not the flashiest, but great footwork, technique, and a leader on the offense, too. So I'm going to go Donovan Jackson at pick 48.
Yeah, it's good soup. I love that pick right there. I think he's a guy too that teams could really value more than what people that mock him do, just for the position flexibility. And like you said, being a leader on a team that had great production. So, but coming in Bengals on the clock, pick 49. I think there are a few different ways they can go here. I believe Jermaine Pratt is a free agent, so addressing the line, but I think they have to go defense at the end of the day. The offense, you have Joe Burrow. If you really want to win, you just got to keep adding to the defensive front. I think there's two ways they can go. I do really like Demetrius Knight Jr. out of South Carolina, but I'm going to go Omar Norman Lott. I think adding to that D line, I really do like him out of Tennessee as well. A guy that I think does have some pass rush upside as well. I think he can wreak havoc. And I think he's good enough of a size to once again clog up that defense. And they really need all the help on the defensive line that they can get. So,
yeah, great pick. He's really solid. Very
I'm
solid.
so sorry. Who'd you pick, Beans?
Omar Norman Lott.
Just wanted to hear you say that one more time.
Oh, I've never been on a boat.
Can I come up with a vote?
No, that was good. Now we're on to the Seattle Seahawks at pick number 50. I think this guy, the fall stops here, and it average draft position on PFF, it's close to where he's getting picked at, but I think it's linebacker 2 in this draft, Demetrius Knight Jr. You talked about him there, Bob, for a second. I think the Seattle Seahawks address the defensive side of the football, and they get a Mike linebacker in Knight Jr.
Stud, freak athlete too. He's awesome, and they just hammer down there. I love that pick for them. Just keep building that defense. They tried taking a swing on Jerome Baker last year, and he was not very good for them at linebacker. Same with Tyrell Dodson. They ended up releasing him, so they've got to figure out that linebacker room. Demetrius Knight's a great step in the right direction, in my opinion. Tampa Bay on the board here, and I'm just going to continue to address defense. I thought wide receiver, maybe take someone like a Jack Betch and put him in at slot for Chris Godwin. I am going to take the very, very athletic corner out of Ole Miss, Trey Amos. Still on the board here, which is kind of surprising, but they really do need a good corner. He's been awesome at Ole Miss. Like I said, very, very good size, a former track star, freak athlete, and they already went defensive line. Now you go corner, you just start building that defense for Todd Bowles. So I like Trey Amos at pick 51.
Yeah, love the pick there. I think that's a really, really solid pick for them. With the Broncos on the clock here, I think they're gonna go a guy from Miami.
Do it.
Who played slot for them last year?
Broncos? Was it
Was it Franklin?
Vaughn?
Or was it
Or Franklin?
the Oregon guy? I thought that
Von Vele or Troy Franklin? Either way, they didn't get a lot of production.
I'm gonna go Elijah Arroyo. I think tight end is a great position for them. I think he's extremely athletic, can kind of be that Jimmy Graham type.
He's a joker. He's a joker.
Yeah,
tight
he
end.
is. He is. Can use him anywhere. I think that Bo Nix needs an outlet. And I do think there are some wide receivers that they can look to in the third round as well that can still give them similar production to someone they would take now as well. Where I think Arroyo can come in and be an impact player, at least in the receiving side of things. So
I like it. Yes, sir.
just doing one little thing here.
Yeah,
Now
good.
we are on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going a double Porter defensive backfield. Give me Darian Porter.
Ooh, yeah.
Porter to pair up with Joey Porter Jr.
Yes.
Pittsburgh Steelers address the offensive side of the ball with a weapon in the first round. They address the defensive secondary in the second round. And it is Porter, an absolutely freak from the combine. And they seriously have a Porter backfield or defensive backfield.
I love that. That's a great pick, man. He's such a freak athlete, and get him to Mike Tomlin, man, and there'll be a problem. I think that's a great one. Chargers on the board here, having taken Mykel Williams in the first round. This just follows the Harbaugh philosophy of we're going to run the ball and we're going to stop the run. So they're going to stop throwing with Mykel Williams, and they're going to run the ball with Caleb Johnson, running back out of Iowa.
Yes. I love that pick so much.
Yes.
He is exactly what the Chargers are about.
Yes, he fits their scheme beautifully. Just a physical running back, an absolute bell cow back that's got better speed than we're giving him credit for. Put up
Yes,
insane
100%.
numbers at Iowa. I think he'd be a problem in that offense.
Yeah, I think that would be a home run pick for them. I think
Yes.
that he is everything that they would want him to be.
Yep.
Packers on the clock here. I think there are a few ways that they can go. Mm, 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 mm.
That wide receiver out of Stanford's looking at you. You gonna
Nate,
try that one?
who'd you take for the Chargers? I'm sorry.
Caleb Johnson.
Okay.
I got really excited about it.
Yeah.
With the Packers here, I think they're going to bring back Devontae or be able to go out and sign a wide receiver one. I think there are a lot of options. DK Metcalf, even. Give me Jack Sawyer, edge out of Ohio State. I think
Yeah.
this is a guy that was very high in other mocks. I think he fits what the Packers want to do. And at the end of the day, they definitely need some edge rush help. I think they're very thin there. Especially, like I said, this is a position that the good teams rotate regularly to keep guys fresh. And I think Jack Sawyer can come in and be a great starter for them right away as well. I think he's NFL ready. So
Absolutely. Very productive too. Super under the radar, just in general,
Yeah.
just a super
Yeah.
under the radar player. Big fan of Jack Sawyer. I think he fits Green Bay's defensive style really nicely.
The Buffalo Bills took a combine winner, and even Worry in round 1. What's so funny about this?
Sorry, dude, I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
What? Even Worry? That's his last
Buffalo
name.
Bills. What
Oh,
happened?
Buffalo Bills.
No, I was thinking. I don't know. Maybe it only came through. It came through so loud. I swear to God, it's
Buffalo Bills.
Because no one
No, it
circles
did
the
that for your
wagons
mic.
like
It
the
did that for
Buffalo
your mic
Bills.
for a second as well. My bad, headphone listeners. You're gonna get another one here. Buffalo Bills. I'm taking it. Give me Alec Ayo Manor. Ayo Manor. Ayo Manor to the Buffalo Bills.
That is correct.
I just think it's a big body receiver. Keon Coleman and Ayo Manor for the future with Josh Allen is the move. I will say, I want to see what's going on with James Cook. Does Cam Skidabo get some looks here? I don't know. If they don't have Cook, I think it's a real possibility they address the running back room. And maybe it's even a situation where they trade up to try to get a guy that they really like. I think they're going to figure it out with James Cook. I don't think you let a guy that scored 17 touchdowns just walk out the door. I think you figure things out. If Josh Allen has to take a restructure or whatever it is, you get it done.
Yeah, agreed.
Give me Ayo Manor.
Ayo Manor. Great pick. I do think he's going to be solid. He's someone that's just, again, another guy just super underneath the radar.
Yeah,
Probably
he's
because
big body. Big body.
No one wants to say his name. So they're just like, nope, not going to talk about him. Moving on. Houston went with Tyler Booker in the first round, which is a great pick. Can I get a second? Can I get another? I'm going to go Jared Wilson, center out of Georgia. You need a center. You're starting center right now, and last year was Michael Dieter, who was a former. If the Dolphins' offensive line doesn't want you, you're not good. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He was never good for us as a center. He's not good for Houston. Go get Jared Wilson, who's an absolute athletic freak at center, can absolutely move people. I think his stock is way up after the combine. So I'm going to go Jared Wilson at pick 57. My cat's name is Seth.
Yeah, up pick there. I think the Panthers, this is an interesting pick. A few different ways they can go. Give me a guy though who I think it's really dependent on the medical. But a guy that I really do like coming out. I think the medical is the only thing that's really holding him back here. Give me Morrison, corner out of Notre Dame.
Yeah,
I
great
think
pick.
I mean, it is scary. Like I said, he's had 2 hip surgeries, being as young as he is. But at the end of the day, if that stuff checks out and your doctors think he can play, I think this guy is a baller. It's really just going to be a matter of if he can stay healthy. I think you addressed the D-line a little bit already. So give me a guy that can hopefully come in and be a lockdown for you on the back end.
Agreed. Yes,
I'm
very solid pick.
Who was that? Who was that?
Benjamin Morrison.
Nice. Okay,
Yeah.
Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah.
Now we are on to the Baltimore Ravens. The reason I did not hear that was I was practicing this guy's name in my head. He went Siobhan Ravel in the first round, which I do like. Now Jack Betch is there. Do you take a receiver for a guy like Lamar, or do you rely on another year of old Derrick Henry to carry that backfield I'm just kidding. Lamar is elite.
Yeah.
But give me Princely Human Malin. Human Malayan. Human Milan.
Uman Mielen.
Unman Mielen. I am so sorry, Princely. You're an
Uman
elite
Mielen.
edge from Ole Miss. Human Milan. He had 11 sacks last year. That's an edge the Baltimore Ravens need, and they will be taking the edge from Ole Miss.
Practice does
Braden
not
Swinson.
always make perfect, kids.
No, I suck. I'm sorry. Names are my kryptonite, bro. They're my kryptonite.
That was great. I don't know what you're talking about. I got Detroit on the clock here. Am I missing this guy? Where's he at? There he is. Okay, I'm gonna go. They need interior offensive line. Is it Frank Ragnow's free agent? They're missing some interior offensive lineman
I
who's
think
leaving.
Zeitler.
Kevin Zeitler.
Yeah.
Thank you. Frank Ragnow's still there. Kevin Zeitler's gone. I'm gonna replace him with offensive lineman Jonah Savai-Inaya out of Arizona. Tested shockingly well at the combine for his size. Had way longer arms than I thought he would have too. So very impressed with how he did. He's solid, man. 6'5", 336. You plug him into guard and you're set for 5 to 10 years, in my opinion. I think he's great. And I love what Detroit has done in these first 2 rounds, going with Jalen Walker and Savai-Inaya. That's just beautiful. Detroit fans, you're going to have to let us know what you guys think about those picks, because I think they're home runs.
Yeah, I love that pick there. I think Washington here does go someone to protect Daniels. Give me Wyatt Milam here. I just
Great
like
pick.
Wyatt Milam as a
Yes,
prospect so
same.
much. I am pretty high on Ursery as well, but at the end of the day, I just think Wyatt Milam's going to be a stud. He's got that grit out of West Virginia. I think that's going to be something Dan Quinn covets.
Yep.
And once again, the numbers speak for themselves. 0 sacks, 3 years starting.
He's awesome.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it speaks for itself. So give me Wyatt Milam here. Protect your future. And at the end of the day, I think this guy can be a starter in the league for a long time to come.
Yep, absolutely can, man. He's going to be awesome. I really thought about taking him at 48 for Miami. Honestly, I've loved Wyatt Milam. I was worried we wouldn't have a chance to get him at 13. Now he's fallen to 61, which is great for me, but I don't know. There's the guys have just kind of moved past him. He wasn't the most athletic guy. He ran a real slow 40. He's got shorter, which who gives a crap, whatever. But I love that pick for Washington. Build the trenches, baby. Great pick.
Yeah. Protect Daniels. That's goal number 1.
Yep.
Goal numero uno. Now we are on to pick, I don't know, 30 in the second round. I do know
62.
that. It's 62. Right now. Right on. This one is actually a name I can pronounce. So you guys get some sweet chin music. The Buffalo Bills select Shamar Turner, interior defensive lineman from Texas A&M. I said your name very correctly, Shamar. Sorry, shout out. Buffalo Bills, though, address the interior of the defensive line, and it's just another piece they need going forward, and it's a piece they can continue to stay young at. And
yeah, no, I think that's a really solid pick. He's a guy who started the offseason like pretty highly rated and has kind of dropped a little bit. Didn't have a very good year, but nobody on the Texas A&M defensive line did. So you're betting on his upside, and I have no problem with betting on his upside, man. I think he's going to be real solid. And Buffalo with a pretty damn good draft with Nick Eamon and him.
Yeah, I picked the second round picks both for Buffalo, so rip me apart in the comments, please.
Yeah, Bills fans, let him hear it. Let him hear it. Kansas City on the clock here at pick number 63, having gone, I believe they went with offensive lineman. Yeah, Gray Zabel at pick 31. So D-line linebacker is what we're probably looking at here. Ooh, I'm going to go Carson Schwesinger out of UCLA. Schwesinger, I believe it's pronounced. I might be wrong there. But what?
I said Schweissinger, but
Schweissinger? Schwesinger.
I think what you said is correct.
I think so. Really, really good year this year for UCLA, and then tested really well at the combine as well. And he's a little light, probably needs to put on a little bit of weight, but he did have a really good combine. And Nick Bolton probably out the door. Gonna have to figure something out at the linebacker position. I do think he's best available there. There's arguments for him, linebacker 1 and 2. I mean, people say he's up there with Jihad Campbell and Demetrius Knight. I don't see that, but I see very athletic, very smart linebacker that would feel right for the Chiefs. I don't know. Bobby, bring us home. Philadelphia Eagles pick 64.
Yeah, now here's a guy. Give me a Xavier Restrepo. I think he is a
Yeah.
stud. I really do. I know he doesn't have everything you want from a size and speed perspective. I get it, but at the end of the day, he gets open when it matters most. This is a guy that broke the record for Miami. I'm pretty sure he broke Michael Irvin's record for either receptions or receiving yards, one of the two. The production has always been there. Small body guy, and I understand that they do already have two great wideouts. I do think Devonta Smith can play outside if he needs
Yeah, he
to.
definitely.
And this would just be a great option to play both those guys outside, especially hitting Devonta Smith on a go route, something like that. And I just think Restrepo gives him an opportunity to have something underneath at all times. A guy that you don't need to lean on every single down to play, but a guy that you can bring in the short yardage where you do want to go out wide. And especially if people are loading the box up against Saquon, I think this guy can really make an impact, especially in man coverage. Does a really good job of getting open. So a guy that's just all reliable and I think could be a really great target for Hurts underneath. Give me a Xavier Restrepo out of the U.
I love
love it.
Restrepo, and he's not going to be nearly picked as high as this guy was, but I look at him and I see just shades of Lad McConkey, where it's this guy will run any route and he gets open and he gets in space and he just consistently does it. And it's like, okay, maybe Lad isn't or wasn't the best receiver physically and athletically, but when you watched him play football, he was always open, didn't matter who guarded him, and it's similar for Restrepo. This guy is a football player, and the Eagles would be very happy to have a player like this because who knows what's going on with a winning football team. AJ Brown and his $96 million deal over 3 years could be out of town sooner than you think just because of money situations. So it's definitely good to stay young at an important position as well. So I love that pick, Bob.
Yeah, I would not be shocked to see the Patriots call up the Eagles. Mike Vrabel, call them up for AJ Brown. Say, hey, we'll give you guys our second round pick,
That's
and you
big
send
talk.
us AJ Brown.
That's the big talk around town is that AJ Brown and that big contract. Is there a way? Do they want to get out of it? And I don't know if that's the case, but if they do, maybe Ayo Mainer's in talk for the Eagles. But legitimately, though, I do love Restrepo because who knows what the future is of that receiver room for Philly.
Agreed. And you can never have enough receivers. You honestly can't. They get hurt so often, and you've got to replace them. So that's it for our first post-combine mock draft. First 2 rounds done. If you guys aren't already subscribed to the channel, make sure you guys hit that red subscribe button. We are going to be here all next week talking free agency signings, grading each deal immediately, and how it affects the draft. If someone signs with the team and we're like, okay, that wipes this guy out of being drafted for this team, it makes it way less likely, we'll talk about it. So there's going to be plenty of content coming to you guys next week, along with a post-free agency mock draft. Of course, as we like to get one of these out to you guys at least every week and a half, every 2 weeks. So that's all we've got for you guys for today's video. Thanks for sticking with us. A little bit of a longer one here, but we will see you all in the next one.
Peace.